True Justice Show with Jackie Ray Phillips on YikesRadio.com and AcceleratorRadio.net simultaneously. Shout out to my mentor, the Mr. Kevin Nash, again, the owner of this proprietorship here at Accelerator Radio. So we're going to get ready to get back on the train, everybody. Thank you for staying with us, Facebook viewers, and we did our YouTube changeover, and Lori had an amazing time with the mid-show shenanigans, and got a common theme about, food and going out with people. But we're going to get back on this discussion about the law of attraction. And so, we have individuals that write in, and sure, you may be familiar that we have a chat group. We also have a Hey POJ. But this gal, she reached out to me. She kind of wanted to be a little bit anonymous, if you will. But this is the story for the panel. And I want to know, in regard to the law of attraction, this is for real, you guys, not metaphorically, spirit. This is the real deal. So, she's 33 years old. She has 2 children. Okay, her children are 12 and 13. She's been with this gentleman. This is her husband, and her husband have been together the entire time. They have been together now about 25 years. Right? They've been knowing each other since they were little kids. He's abusive. Financially abusive, emotionally abusive, physically abusive. Because of that abuse, he has subsequently ended up incarcerated from the violence. He's now incarcerated. She's now seeing another gentleman.
Who's abusive? Oh, I'm sorry.
Correct. No, yeah.
Yeah.
This is it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is she attracting that? What about her? What can she change? The fact that his incarceration was so pivotal for her, because she was like, I'm free. I'm free of this relationship. I'm free of the violence. I'm free of the head trips. I'm free. And when she met this new guy, she was so very excited, because she's like, I get this fresh new start, because all of that bad stuff is gone. You know what I'm saying? All of this ugliness is gone. He's gone. And getting her life back on track. And she met the guy online, but they did a long-term relationship online. But at the end of the day, now they're together, and now these things are starting to come out about him. Liberties that she had before, he no longer allows her to do. He's now, getting to the point where he wants to control what she wears, down to her clothing, her makeup, her hairstyling. She's starting to see some of the patterns of what happened, in this childhood relationship. And just actually recently, he has now began to put his, physically abuse her in terms of grabbing her. But what she rationalized to me was, but he's not hitting me. He only grabs me.
He's not hitting her yet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the point. Yet.
But the question that she had to me, and I'll be posing to the panel, is, what is she doing wrong? And why is this happening to her?
She's not married to the
Asking
first
about
guy?
the law of attraction. Yes, she's still married to him, but he's locked up. So this is it. This is Yikes Radio, ladies and gentlemen.
So,
Yikes.
Go ahead. First of all, I think that it's such a negative situation here, because she has children, she has daughters, and this is what she's instilled in them, and this is what they're gonna grow up and attract, because this is all they know, So that's really a very painful to the heart situation. And then secondly, it's has to do with self-worth in there, and really loving ourselves, and that's a hard thing for us, and even more, maybe a little harder as Black women, because of our ancestors and history and what's been passed on and all the abuse. It's gone back for so long, but I think there's a serious lesson here, like from the first time. She might have felt she was free, but the question was, what did she learn from that first lesson? Because whatever it was, she didn't get it, and now she's in it again.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is she not doing? What is she doing wrong?
Was her parents abusive? Do you know that? Like, because sometimes patterns repeat themselves,
Exactly.
and you start accepting a behavior that you saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our mother and father, the first image of masculinity and femininity, right? And so if you saw this, did she think that it was okay initially, but it just got so out of hand? And then because it might have been normal for her, because they say people are attracted to what's inside of you, right? And so this vulnerability or this lack of self-esteem or lack of self-control or whatever it is, did she attract that? And did she take time to heal and get counseling and get healing, whether it's through a church or through a counselor or whatever? Did she take time to heal from that? Because if she didn't heal and then takes that into the next relationship, it's gonna repeat itself.
Well, I'm gonna say no, because I did ask her. She did go to first session. She said she felt uncomfortable talking about the abuse, so she did leave. But what she shared to me is that because he's locked up, he's gone, so that behavior's gone. You see what I'm saying?
No.
That's what I'm understanding from her. In her mindset, it's he's gone, so the problem's gone, and never really thought that it could happen to her in any other situation because she lumped that pain and that dysfunction with that man. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
but
Leroy?
she didn't focus on herself, so it's not so much about him being locked away. It's about her in terms of how did I get to this point with that person?
Yes.
I think oftentimes, it was just a show. It was just a shouting match. He hit me once, he wouldn't do it again. He withheld finances and I couldn't buy food for me and the kids or myself or what, you know what I'm saying? And so we sometimes rationalize those things. But I think also too, we have to have an opportunity to focus on ourselves. Kind of like what you were saying, Cheryl Underwood, right? That you have to really think about what was my role. Frida, are you listening? This is your part. She always tells us what was my role in this scenario and have to address that role.
She did mention that she's so busy with the kids and adjusting to the new financial strains and with his incarceration and rebounding and just trying to make it through life, that counseling's been a little bit of a struggle and the opportunity to self-reflect has been a struggle. But now that she sees this thing happening again, I believe, Lloyd, this is her opportunity to do that. You know what I
Right, and I
mean?
think following the law of attraction, as I kind of understand it, is that there has to be a moment of awareness, right? Otherwise, the law of attraction can't be applied. Because you have to come into the knowledge of it, right? That I'm going to purposefully, intentionally focus on positivity, right? And so I think in this journey, she has to say, okay, being here, the light bulb went off for me. And yes, I'm putting things out there that is attracting this type of person. I'm not gonna continue down this path with this person because I know where that leads. But I have to sever that and then focus and do some work on myself to have those positive reinforcements that would allow me to attract something different. And it's like Maya Angelou says, right? Believe them when they show them the
Well,
first
she
time.
believes him. That's why she's reaching out to us, because she see what he is. But again,
Yeah,
like
but
you
I'm saying,
said,
like in future,
what is she
in
doing?
future things, yeah.
Or is any of that fake? Is any of that a part of her journey?
Can't believe that.
Remember how we talked a little bit about
No.
No.
when you get here, you know why you went through that there for being here.
Not abuse.
No.
No, that doesn't apply with abuse.
She's still married to the other guy.
She's stuck on that.
She's
You know,
still
black people
in
don't
a,
get divorced.
Okay, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
go
but
and
look,
take
she's
that with Chris.
still
Go ahead.
married to the guy. Even though
You what?
he ain't separated from you, he's still.
He is separated, he's incarcerated.
That don't mean nothing. You still signed, y'all still connected. So you still dragging that along.
Yeah.
In that process, instead of you going to the other guy, she should have been loving herself.
Exactly.
Cause you know what, while he in jail, he got to reflect on something. However long he in there, this is her time to find herself with A lot of people don't know God or don't know the power that God has gave them, because she has the power, because God gave us the power.
Yes.
She's not using her power. She need to flip the switch, like her, like, flip the switch. It's up to you what you wanna do. What do you wanna do? What does she wanna do? Answer that next time. What do you wanna do?
Get her on the show.
And what will she do if she saw it happening to her daughter? If she saw them in that kind of relationship? How would she deal with
Possibly
it?
normalize it.
I know, but sometimes you
Rationalize
have to
it,
hit
because
them
that's
from
what
that
we do.
perspective, and then maybe they could see themselves a little bit more,
Yes.
because it's hard sometimes to see yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but people can always project on other people what they should do and don't do it themselves.
True.
And
yeah,
so,
that's
you
easy
know,
to do.
you could easily defend your kid and not defend yourself.
Yeah.
That's that
that's
self-
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Because
that's
I think when you're
sacrifice.
in situations, no matter what they are, abusive or not abusive, just work with whatever it is, sometimes when you're in it, you can't see it. It takes true conversations and communication, or someone to say something to you, or maybe you to take a pause and say,
The key
what?
is that we have to take a pause.
Yes.
Right, that we have to take that time that Chris talked about, and even reading about the law of attraction, there's a lot of focus on meditation
Mhm.
and being able to really buy into the law of attraction. So you take that time with yourself, with your thoughts, right, to become
Yes.
fortified.
Still.
I think often as women, we get so wrapped up in feeding the kids and getting to work and making the lunches and the dinners and all of those things that at the end, we're completely exhausted. And when we take that moment, we fall off this switch because we're just exhausted. So we haven't had that moment with ourselves to really evaluate where we are and where we want to be.
And it's funny, Lori, is a study that just came out talking about sleep deprivation and what it does to the body and what it does to the emotions and how it gets you kind of off kilter. And if you are deprived from the sleep, you can't function. When you can't function, you can't think positive. You can't, because it's just the body is in need of something. And so that's such a relevant statement.
It absolutely is. Well, you guys know I have a book I did, the Poetry Trainings, a couple of years back. I have a piece of poetry called The Law of Attraction.
Yeah.
You don't believe The law of attraction. Visualize the game. Understand your heart and passion. For your prosperity you shall aim. Success is within. Time is tested and true. Living a life of victory is no longer a stranger to me. Words are mere symbols. What does it all even mean? When preparing to become a champion, living aloud the desires of your wildest dreams. Human beings are symbols. The world is surround. Don't allow them to pump negative in your head and get your spirit on, your soul down. We have got but one chance in this life, so push the pedal to the ground. For success and happiness is victory, you shall be abound. Therefore, never give up on your hopes. Never give up on your dreams. Remember what his word says, ask and you shall receive. You have not because you ask not. That remains to be seen. So stand firm on his word. Be patient and just believe.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes when I read my own stuff, I'm like,
So I think the question for me is
yeah, let me read that shit again, and I'm gonna change the whole trajectory of my get there.
But so
Sure.
my question for you is when you wrote that,
Hey, what the hell was I thinking?
no, what was your mindset? What were you going through? Because I know that most people who do most poets, it's just something that hits them and they just start writing, right? Or something that you're going through and you start writing. So what were you going through, or what were you thinking at that time that you wrote that? Because it's so relevant. What, 5 years later? Is that 5 years you wrote the book?
6 now.
6 years later?
6.
Do
Yep.
you know?
I do remember. This is during the time, when my mommy, you remember, Lord, when my mommy got, it was after the first cancer situation with her heart. And then my mom in her heart situation. So anyway, I was taking care of mommy. I'm home with her every day, all day, right? Her and Papa and everything like that. And this one particular day, you know, so I was writing. I didn't even know. I just woke up one night, as you guys know the story, and I just started. I call them lyrics that was coming through my head. So it's not me telling you this. I want to tell you, but I didn't. It's not like Jackie Ray sat down and said, all of this. I would be doing something. I would be in there cleaning or washing dishes or and then all of a sudden it just be you know, whatever that lyric is, you know, it'll start coming to my head. Like I'll get like the first 2 or 3 sentences, it'll just and it'll come again. And, oh shit, you need me to write. Oh, I stop everything I'm doing. Laura used to think, she'd be like, who are you texting? One night we were at dinner and I'm just I was like, no, I'm writing. Just the poetry is just coming to me. But what was happening in my real life that I can recall as to, for me to be able to listen and receive the message was, we were at the house cleaning up. I was taking care of mommy, and our neighbor came over, and he was talking about the law of attraction. And he came over to repair, and the hermit, and he came over and he was talking about the phenomenon of the law of attraction, because my mom spoke, in his opinion, had spoke negativity. Because it was about the washer on the sink, in her bathroom sink, the little washer. And the little washer was kind of starting to give, and she was worrying about it, but she didn't want to call my husband and bug him, and she didn't want to call and bother Eric, so she was like, well, I'm not going to say nothing, but she kept saying, you know, that washer going to go out. As soon as we need it, that sink, something going to happen, Jack, and it's going to go out. Lo and behold, she gets up later on and goes, she come back, Jack, it broke. That washer, I can't even get the hot water to turn on. See, I shouldn't have said nothing. I never, you know, I was like, mommy, okay, it's okay. Well, call Herman. I call Herman. I'm like, Herman, come over, could you please come? And she's telling him the story. Herman, I never should have said nothing. He said, Miss Ray, don't you know about the law of attraction? And she was so frustrated. No, I know, I'm sick of this mess. And he's like, well, Miss Ray, if you said, Lord, you laughing because you know that's her. He said, well, if you said all that, I think you caused that to yourself to happen. And her sweet little soul, God rest her. She said, I did? And he's like, well, yeah. And so anyway, he brought over a little video for her to learn about the law of attraction. And then subsequently later that afternoon, Tanya, I'm watching, you know, watching her in Jeopardy. And I'm just sitting there, and then all of a sudden, and it just started coming through my head. And then I just get up, and then I just went up and said, oh, okay, a law of attraction. So interesting, right? So me reading it now, I was like, whoa, I need to start rereading it. Yeah. Help me out, right? Give me a
channel. And you stood still and you listened. Thank you.
He says, be still and know that I am God. But I get it. It's hard, guys, because sometimes it's really hard for me, and I appreciate you all being here and listening, and our viewers there. I'm sorry I got caught up with the panel, but I am most times my biggest critic, my biggest beat my own self up, if you will. Almost like, let me beat myself up first before the next person can or will. So I really want to get better in terms of the type of energies that I attract to myself, you know. So that's why this is so very important for me, because so oftentimes, you know, we make decisions, like we say, choices and decisions that we're maybe not so proud of, don't want to make again. And where I'm at a point now, I'm at not a crossroad, if you will, but when you see that energy coming, if you will, or those patterns, similarly to my girlfriend, when you see those patterns coming, I'm trying to now be at a point of being able to stop it immediately. I think I gave a scenario early where I just want to get up and just, but you're like, no, okay, let me just try to breathe that down, pray about some things, move this in a little different direction. So that has been me, where before I was more of a knee jerk, you know what I mean? Emotion, Tanya, like you talked about, you do that more, you just. So I have diligently been practicing, and I guess, Lord, this is what you taught us tonight about the meditation component, to really think about things that what I'm gonna say. And even you guys may have noticed sometimes when I'm speaking, I'll kind of pause, but before I'm just rattling it off, like, oh, Jackie, what do you really wanna say here. I wanna say what I mean,
Right.
and I really wanna mean what I say. And that has been a positive trajectory for me in changing what I believe I'm attracting on that vibrating frequency, because I want to be able to constantly excel. And then if there is a place where I'm defunct, Tanya, where we talked about the Jackie's, I mean, you remember the quotes? I don't know if you remember the simple Jackie quotes. But one of those, Tanya, when you was talking earlier, is one of my favorite ones that I say is, when you choose to get naked in your mind and accept yourself for who and what you are, you can then experience the truth of love and peace. So almost like, sure, when you kind of get up in the morning or in the night and you unveil and getting ready to get in the tub or out, whatever, and you just kind of look at yourself and you're like, I'm like this, or I'm like that. It's that in that brain moment where you can just sit there, whether you're looking in the mirror or just literally in your mind and say, what am I? Who am I? Those dark, for me, like those dark crevices thoughts that come in, those thoughts that I say are not like godly, if you will. You know what I mean? Right. And it's
Not
like,
loving.
Yes, not
right. And I know it. You feel it, and it's like, no, I don't like this. Where before I could just take the choice, take that thought, oh well, that's what it is, and roll with it. Now, by the grace of God and wisdom, age perhaps, I don't know, sure, completely, I can, let me see what's no, this isn't right. And sometimes, but the glory, what I want to say about it is, even if we miss the mark, because we're going to miss the mark, at least instead of, for me, this is Jackie growth, instead of me beating me up, I can say, I did it. I tried it. It didn't work. And I'm gonna take this down another road. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna, what Erykah Badu say, I made a wrong turn back there somewhere. So you get a little derailed and you're like, okay, all right, y'all, we back on track. You know, Lori would do it all the time on waves when we be traveling and we get missed right, you know, whoo, phew. And then sometimes what I'm trying to do when I make choices and decisions is like, I'll look down the street like, what's down there? You know, you try to feel the vibe and you be like, well, before I'd be like, what's down there? Let me go down there. You know it don't feel right. Be like, let me do it really not feel right? Or is it just me that think it don't feel right? Let me just go down there anyway. And then you like, ha! And then when this attack and the bullets is coming, you're like, damn it, I shouldn't have came down that street, right? And then you kind of turn around and go back. But see, Tanya, what I'm doing now, I ain't even gonna look. When I feel that, don't even look. Don't even allow it, right? Does that, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm rambling, you guys, but that's what I've been doing. I hope you guys are listening. And I don't know if that makes sense or if anybody else kind of can get that, but this is where I am, the 51, almost 52-year-old Jackie. So I don't make the same mistakes. So the time that I do have left to be able to make the absolute most of it and to be able to do and walk in my calling, I have to practice humility and meditation and allowing who and what I know is Jackie to kind of just scoot down a little bit and just allow that, you know, that loving and that spiritual side to continue to manifest. And what I'm learning is the more that I've been doing that, it's almost becoming autopilot. So now it's, my body doesn't even, it can't even, when it comes, because it comes, my negative energy, the devil, when he come fucking with me, he come right over here to the left. He be like, I'll be like, shit, get off me. And that's just real talk, you know. So now it's like, no, don't even no. The wall is there. I rebuke you, and I will say that literally. I rebuke you in the name of the Lord. I rebuke you, Jesus. I rebuke you. No. Okay, so now that I have my counseling session, you guys, everybody,
Self-counseling.
That was good, Jackie.
really, can you relate to that? Can you comment on any of that?
Oh, no, I'm just enjoying that. Because it's real, you know, and I think that's what people can learn from. People sharing and just being truthful and honest about it. Yeah. Lead by example.
Thank you, thank you.
I think
But
it's
that's what I
beautiful.
try to do now, Tanya, when that anger comes and what I'm trying to say, Tanya, that emotional, it doesn't even come as often as it used to. It is that a choice?
Yes.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
But what about when I was ill and I didn't have the choice? Was that still a choice? You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like when you're in it and you're in the dysfunction. Well, I know for me, when I was in my dysfunction, I didn't know it was dysfunctional because I was ill, so I didn't understand it was a dysfunction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm out of it, I look back. Oh, damn, Jackie, you weren't very well and grounded at that time in that capacity. Your thought process at that time was your best. Does that, you know what I mean? That law of attraction, forgive me, the four agreements, where always do your best. And your best is going to change from moment to moment, depending on how
We're
you're feeling
always
in your health.
evolving. And I think that's what happened, there's evolution, right? So you were at a place where this was your level of your best. But I do think you make a choice to hear, to understand, to learn, to know, and to evolve. There's some people who make a conscious choice, they're not gonna evolve. I eat green beans on Monday, I eat cabbage on Wednesdays, and I fast on Fridays, and I'm not changing. That's just, I'm not evolving. I know that maybe I should do better than what I'm doing, right? But they make a conscious choice to stay right there, to stay stuck. So, I think even in our levels of sickness, that we make the choice to strive to not be at that level anymore, right?
Healing is a choice.
Say again.
Yeah, it
Healing
is
is a choice.
Healing is a
Yeah.
choice.
Because healing is not easy.
No,
Healing is
healing
not.
is not
It's
easy.
absolutely not easy.
And that's
Well,
why-
as my good friend Frida Ross says, all you have to do is have the desire. And you can have that desire. You can break through. I apologize for time to go.
I was gonna say, I think that everything we're talking about as far as the law of attraction, positive intentions, all that is, you have to be going towards your healthy you, your emotionally balanced you, right? You can't be in that space when you're not whole, right? And so, how do you become whole? And it's that whole self, like this, the lady we were talking about who called in, it's until she becomes whole and one with herself and loving herself and understanding patterns and processes and images and whatever she's dealt with in life to get her to this point to accept this and to attract this, it's nothing that none of us can say, right? We can maybe guide her or hope she gets counseling, but you have to have a level of wholeness in your want to be whole and live in peace in order to even operate under the law of attraction continuously, because you'll bounce back and forth. You'll be, you just sway.
Right.
And so when you were at the part where, when you were your illness and whatever else was going on, it wasn't a healthy you to make a healthy choice.
But at that moment, I'm thinking, oh, this is the best choice.
It is the best choice for
At
you at
that
that
time.
moment in the
Mhm.
state that you were in.
But again, just that attraction, attracting it, sometimes I just still get a little bit confused in that, but I'm learning.
But I think you said it, that you said that those things don't come
Yeah.
as often as they did. And I think it goes back to that premise that because your thoughts are focused on a different energy, they're focused on a different perception, different
Frequency?
idea, different
Maybe.
frequency, so that those things aren't magnetically pulled toward you as frequently.
So then what we want to do is shift that energy to being magnetically pulled toward or connected to growth, prosperity, some of the things that
Sure.
were spoken in the word and desires and moving forward and excelling. And so what do we continue to do here as a group with the chat, the Poetry of Justice show, to make sure that we can disseminate and spread our law of attraction to individuals who are hurting, to individuals who are in pain, who need that spiritual guidance, who need that educational guidance, who needs that wisdom, who needs to know what's happening, Tanya. How do you think we can continue this dialogue on it and continue to, each one of us reach one on a daily basis? Like, what are you willing to take away from here tonight to say you would do differently and better to be a role model for positive law of attraction, for self and others?
I don't know, because I think I'm in a place in my life where I grew up and I would share my opinions. I don't share my opinions unless I'm asked anymore. TD Jakes said something to me that I thought was very powerful. He said, in the things you do, you have to have intention. You have to have intention. And if your intention is not gonna yield something positive, then your opinion doesn't matter. So don't interject your opinion if it's not going to change something for a positive trajectory. And depending on who that person is, if you say something and they're not in that space, it can cause confusion, right? So you have to, so I'm willing to share my journey, share things, if someone is asking me to do it. I'm not willing to just go out and see that you have an issue and start injecting my journey on you, right? Because you have to be in that space to want to have your own journey. And if you're not there, whatever I say could be seen negative or, you know what I mean? So just being positive, trying to be a light, trying to share my story if I'm asked, but I don't give my opinions like I used to.
What about you, Cheryl?
I think one thing that can be helpful to people is affirmations on a daily basis, you know. Saying things, I mean, even as simple as on a daily thing, I am loved, loving, and I am lovable. You know, I am blessed. God is love. Just, you can keep it, you know, as well, to whatever level you want, but I think it's something that is a beginning of working toward more positive attractions for yourself.
For yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. What are you thinking right now, Ms. Chris Bishop?
As for me, what I do is, before I even get up in the morning, I always thank God and thank wisdom for her being within me. And I thank God for the Holy Spirit, because God is already in me, so the Holy Spirit is our teacher. So I always thank the Holy Spirit for speaking through me now, today.
Yeah.
You know, at whatever's going on today, thank you for speaking through me that I say the right thing or I make the right decision. Because there's, you know, if I don't do that and I go through the day, I'll be thinking like, you know,
Gratitude.
I
I
say
said the
that
words
and
of
I
my
don't know.
mouth and the meditation of my heart.
Yeah. And I find when I say that things have happened that I was like, Holy Spirit, you know you want me to. You give me the right thing to say, I'll be like, where did that come from? I be like, you can feel it in your solar plex. When you know it's the
In
Holy
your where?
Spirit, your solar plex.
Okay.
You can feel it in your solar plex when you know the Holy Spirit is coming up out of your mouth. You feel like, what? What?
Yeah, who is that? Lori G. Big time. What's going on, best boss lady? Lori G.
Facebook and I are having a war right now.
Uh-oh, tell us, fill us in. Well, don't leave us in the dark.
I know I can't. I have lost my live feed. I know it's a Lori thing. Exactly. So those of you with which I was chatting, I'm not being rude. I just can't see you anymore.
You really can't see? Just click it one time, press it. There you go, baby.
There we go.
Okay.
It's live. But anyway, so what was the question? I'm distracted. I'm sorry.
No, but just in terms of, what would you, in terms of law of attraction,
What can I contribute to that?
right, kind of taking that, lesson when you're gonna take that energy back to these people, the suicidal scenario.
Well, first, I think I have to start with there's still some growth for me, in all honesty, with the law of attraction. I don't do very well with the meditative piece. I have to learn to slow myself down and be still and to release all thoughts and chatter and things that are in my mind. And I think I'll be more centered. And I know that I will be able to hear the voice of the Messiah stronger. I know that. Because on those moments when I do slow down, I've learned to trust that feeling that you get, that instinct. Cheryl, you were talking about the hairs that stand up on your arms. So I'm not as good at that. So that's where I need to grow. But I think with the law of attraction and my students, and I've had many counseling sessions this week, is to get them to see what they're putting out there into the world and the empowerment that they have. I I think a lot of them feel that their lives are just spinning out of control and they have no ownership in that, you know, because the syllabus says that the paper is due on this day, that day, and this day, that, oh my gosh, I have 5 classes with all of those things due, right? But you still have power in that. You still have the opportunity to vocalize to a faculty member or two that I have 5 exams on the same day. Is there anything that I can do with that, right? And also too, getting them to understand they have to take accountability. A lot of the stress that our students are feeling is, I'm not gonna call a name, but someone who was on the row with the sororities and the fraternities and made a strong commitment to be the social chairperson on that, decided to not take 18 units as recommended, but take 21 units, right? And instead of working on one show with our school, took on 3 projects in the film school. So getting them to take the accountability of what is real and doable in terms of your time management. And so I think when they focus on that, those positive affirmations, right? What can I do? What are my limitations? Because we all have those, right? We have limitations. Then they can begin to attract things that they know they can manage.
That sounds like a good way to do it. Yeah. Dante, you, law of attraction.
What was the question again?
No, just overall, what's your take on law of attraction?
Law of attraction.
Being the whiz here tonight with us.
I definitely think it's true. It's been a rough year for me. I tore my Achilles, as y'all know, and had to sit down for a long time. And what I learned with this is the energy that I put out is going to get something out of it. Whether it's good, bad, or positive, I'm gonna get something out of it. Even with my thoughts, I was speaking on thoughts earlier. Your thoughts are powerful. You know, they aren't just simple things that you just be thinking throughout the day. They're things you act on. So I've been a lot more cautious with my thoughts, a lot more cautious just with my actions, because I know that my actions can lead to things maybe that I don't want to play out. Or actions, if I do take more positive things, they can lead to things that I do want to play out. So just being more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just more direct with my intent, or like serious with my intent for things. Maybe that's it. Because if I am more serious with my intent, the law of attraction says that it's going to come to me. So patient with my intent and more just very, very aggressive with my intent.
What do you think about that, Tanya, with the intentions and what Dante
No, I think what he said was very true. I think what stuck with me, what you said, was that there's gonna be an output. You decide what you're inputting, but whatever is negative or positive, it's going to be some type of result. And so we have control over that. I think intentions are very, they say, God looks at your intentions in your heart, and man just look at what's going on. So you have to live in your intentions. If they're positive, and pretty soon they will be overwhelmed, and they will show, right? And they will manifest the fruit of all that labor, right? And so I think that was very positive.
I like that. What are you gonna say, Dante?
Thank you. Thank all of y'all though. This was a good conversation. Y'all always have good conversation, and y'all always teach me something every time I walk in here. Just make me look at everything differently. Like kind of like a self-check and how to just move differently throughout the week. Literally, just a different way to go.
Amen. Thank you. Our social consciousness is the absolute. I see you looking up. What do you see, Lama? Is it drawing near?
It's drawing near.
Oh, okay. Tanya, thank you. Thank you so much, Dante. So we got about 5 minutes, guys. I'm gonna just do a little bit of housekeeping. Tanya's gonna probably get ready to take us out. She has some very important information regarding sex trafficking, but I just wanted to let everyone know that next week we will be taking a brief recess from filming and being in the studio because this amazing little guy, this is my great nephew, this is Lori's grandbaby. It's going to be his birthday. He's turning 2, everybody. So we will be, and he's not really Gabriel anymore, everybody. He's Iron Man. I'm Iron Man. Spider-Man. I'm Iron Man. So we will be at the Spider-Man birthday show.
Yes,
So
we will.
he will be dressed up as Spider-Man. I'm hoping my niece will have him do it. And he's gonna have Spider-Man come to his birthday party, so we don't know what the hell's gonna be going on. Our intentions are good, but with Gabriel, you just never know. So I don't know what kind of energy we're gonna be attracted for this little dude.
Because he's gonna say no, no, no,
No,
no.
no, 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 no.
I don't
no.
like it. I
I
don't
don't
like it.
like it. I just don't like it. So anyway, everybody, we will not be here next weekend, but we will be back on November 30th because we have the Best of the Poetry of Justice show, Volume 2 in the house. So it's going to be an all-star cast again. And so, Tanya, you go just in case I don't get a chance.
No, so there was this article posted today about sex trafficking being at an all-time high, and a police officer actually gave some safety tips, and so I just want to share it with our viewers. And this was actually written by a cop. They were telling ladies if you can to take Taekwondo, but if you don't, just know that your elbow is the strongest point of your body, and so if you're close to somebody, your elbow can really hurt them. So use your elbow if you're being attacked. When if a robber asks for your wallet or a purse, don't hand it to them. Always throw it away from you, and then chances are that he will go for the wallet and purse, and then you can get away. If you're ever thrown in the trunk, you know the first thing to do is to kick out the light in the trunk and start waving your hand. The driver won't know that you kicked it out, but the people around will say that's odd for somebody's hand to be out saying outside. And they said this is known to have saved thousands of lives.
Your
And-
face, Lori's face, Lori's
Oh my
face.
And they said women have the tendency to get in their car after shopping and eating and working. They just sit there and they make a list and they do things, and people are watching you, and they use this as an opportunity to get on your passenger side because you're not conscious, and so you don't lock your door, and so they're getting into you and putting a gun right to your head. And so make sure as soon as you get in your car, you lock the doors. And if someone is in a car with a gun at your head, do not drive off. Do not drive off. Instead, gun the engine and speed into anything that you can and try to wreck the car. Your airbag will save you, but the person in the back most likely will get hurt because there's no protection back there. And then so it's just better to crash and run than somebody find your body, later. When you get into your car in a parking lot, a parking garage, look around you. Normally what's happening is these big vans are parked next to this car, and if you see a big van parked next to your car, do not go near your car, because as soon as you open your door, they grab you. They pull you in because no one can see on the other side, so they're grabbing you. A lot of victims have been pulled into the car. If you look into the car, look, and there's a car parked on the driver's side of your vehicle, and if it's a male sitting alone in the seat near you, walk away. Don't go by there. You just don't know their intentions or what's going on. And you don't want to, like you say, live in, okay. The next one is always take the elevator instead of the stairs. Stay out of the stairs. If the predator has a gun and you are not under control, always run. Run zigzag because they can't hit a moving target. Only 4 out of 100 moving targets has been made. And when you're trying to be sympathetic, as a woman, don't rape me, don't do this. They pride on stuff like that. You need to fight. You need to try to fight back and make sure that you hurt them. And there's this new thing that's going on where they're putting a crying baby at the front door, and because of women and maternal instinct, they'll go outside and they'll hear the crying baby. When this lady called the police officer, said do not go outside. People have been doing that because they know women will go outside, and then they go outside for the crying baby, and then they get kidnapped.
Oh my gosh.
That's
So
horrifying.
just want to share those safety tips, and just as we get knowledge, we want to share with our audience, and we want everybody to be safe around this holiday season.
Oh, one other thing around the holiday, in the parking lot, my niece was in the car. She was on her phone. She got off the phone. A little Hispanic lady, short, stood behind her car, thinking that she was on her phone, not paying attention. And she said she was on the phone, looking in her rearview mirror, like I saw that lady walking around. Got out of her car, lady standing behind her car. Thought she was distracted, where she could back up and hit her. And she said she cussed that lady. I told her, "You ain't getting no presents for me this year."
Exactly.
So watch out for
the
that.
Tesla guy in front of my crib.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a blast here on the Poetry of Justice show. Thank you so much, everybody. We will be back 2 weeks Love you. Have a good night. Thanks for
Love you.
joining us.